Welcome to Feel Good Talk, where our focus is on mind, body, soul, and business. You are now tuning in to Let's Talk About It with your girl Izzy Meditates and your girl Kendra Moore. Hi,
What's
Kendra.
up, everybody?
Hello,
Happy
everyone.
Thursday.
We are
Right.
in the house. It is hot.
It is hot.
Yes.
We had 84 degrees in Delaware today. 85 yesterday.
Yeah.
And humid. Like it was actually like legit humid outside, but it was nice.
Yeah, I think we were about the same. Yesterday seemed to be warmer. Today there was hardly any sun, but it was like you said, real humid, and we had like a little breeze, like off and on. The mosquitoes are on and popping.
Ooh, really? I haven't felt any mosquitoes yet. I did have our first fly. I was like, is that a fly?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, here we go.
Oh yeah. So, oh girl, the flies here on a different level. Have you ever seen a horse fly before?
Yeah, girl, I'm from the South.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
All the flying bugs.
This.
Yeah. I know. But
we don't have all those bugs back in Pennsylvania. When I was home, I remember the lightning bugs, but I don't remember horse flies, something like that.
No, I haven't seen them up here, but it's funny because I'm going to miss that when I move back, down south, because I'm like, here, at least you get like that period where it's cold and all the bugs either die or go in hibernation. And I'm like, oh man. So
no, they're weird here. You know what's really weird about them? So if we have a unseasonal hot day in the winter, they just come up out of nowhere. Like they'll come, the fruit flies, even if it's for like a day or two, they'll come out and then they'll go back.
That's
weird.
Because you're out in the country. That's why
you start.
That's why.
Don't you start.
Okay, I'm sorry, but this is not what our
I know, right?
About. We're not talking about bugs, y'all.
I always seem to bring everybody into nature and bugs.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Today's topic, we are talking about careers and parenting. And I'm excited about this topic. I got some stuff on my chest that I need to get off for years. Yeah. Especially as a woman, I always felt like there's this expectation of, holding it down at home, holding it down as far as career, and then any outside activities and things that you're doing, you have to like balance that all out. And now that I'm a little bit older, I kind of look at things a little bit differently. Yeah. So I think my younger years, I was just like, college, finished 2 degrees, on my way to a 3rd. And I'm like, I'm going to be a boss. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Had it all planned out. I even remember having that younger mindset and seeing women with children in public and saying, I'm not going to do that when I have a child. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be
right. Like what? Not going to do like what?
Well, like as far as like discipline, or I was going to have it all organized this way and this was going to happen. Girl. And I thought I had it all planned out, but I had children late and my career had just started to like take off when I decided to have a child. And then I realized that the biggest thing for me was like childcare. Childcare was a big thing for me because I came from a small town where we all looked out for each other. So it was always family and friends. So my mom and my dad had that support of having someone to back things up for them. But because I uprooted myself and moved to a different state with no family and no friends, I didn't think that part out. So when I had Caleb, it was like, okay, well, who's going to watch him? You know what I mean? And then like we were talking about this last night, it's not cheap to have childcare here. It's $1,000 a month.
Childcare is ridiculous.
Putting him in a private school, a place that I trusted, and then I needed before and after school care. So it was like a big, huge to do. So and then in this area, commuting is a large thing. I mean, a big thing.
Right.
You commute an hour, 20 minutes, that's nothing. 45 minutes is nothing to people, but you tack that on to and fro. That's 3 and 4 hours commute a day with a child in the back seat and stopping by childcare.
Wow.
So I think just holding that down, trying to do a career, trying to be a mom, setting everybody, it's a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot. Yeah. And then on top of that, you and I both have our business ventures that we're doing as well. Right. So you throw all that stuff on top and it's a lot. when you were talking about childcare, the thing that makes me so I also, had David in daycare, and the daycare thankfully was like a good one, but I'm like, a lot of people are paying money for kids just to literally just be babysat. At least his daycare, like they already started teaching him almost like preschool. You know what I mean?
Right.
I felt like, okay, well, he's learning, and they, brought in structure and they had fun too. But it wasn't like, all these kids just in a room and we're just going to watch until you get back, type of thing. So, but no, it is. I mean, it is a lot, and especially when they're younger, it's a lot. I don't have any. When you were saying that when you were younger and you would look at moms and say, I'm not going to do that. I didn't have any thoughts whatsoever. I don't know. Like, I didn't have any thoughts when I saw moms or whatever. And I think when I had David, my goal was like, oh, shoot, I got to keep this thing alive. So that was my thought. Was like day by day, it's like you're, well, my only, but your first one, you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
So that was the thing. And even though my family also is long distance, I did have his dad as support. So that was, helpful. And then also, friends and and I just tried. I just remember just not getting sleep. So that was my biggest thing. And, so doing that and trying to work. But you do bring up a point, because you do see, like, I remember like my manager, like she had like 2 kids and super smart, and she was the director, and managing all the things. And it's so easy for us on the outside to look at anyone's situation at that one point in time where we see them and we're like, oh man, they got it all together. Nobody has it together out here.
Right. No, it's true.
Yeah.
There would be meltdowns. There would be like, because I commuted to a different county, and Caleb, because I didn't have family here in this county, I didn't feel comfortable leaving him here. So he would travel to work with me and go to private school in the town where I worked. So we got up at 4:30 in the morning so that I could have enough time to commute, to drop him off to school, prep him, come back, because my job was a totally different direction for where he was. And then I drop him off, I go to work. So we would eat breakfast in the car most of the time. And then I drop him off to school. I eat lunch in my car from work. And then I would eat dinner in the car, because the commute home was insane. It's a Route 28 here, and it's always traffic. And it was just like, I was getting burnt out of not having a normal family life. You know what I mean? Like him getting out of school and being able to play with his friends and being involved in the community. And CAS came along. So now we're looking at a good $2,000 a month for childcare. That's childcare before, after school, plus the private school that they were going to. We're talking about gas back and forth, and I kept this going all in the name of being a, career mom. I felt like I had to have a career. And not so much a job. And then I began to meet other women, and I saw where women were doing things, not so much in their field of their degree, but something to carry them over so that they were able to be with their children more. And so that's when I started to get into childcare, into teaching. And then before that, I worked for Hewlett and Packard from home, which is just like working for them in the office, but at home. And then you have your children and everybody else asking for, like, can you cook? No, I'm busy. I'm on the phone. But I need, so it's just all in the name of, being that career mom and that boss mom. And I just felt like that was what I had to do. And then somewhere along the line, all of that just was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. You know what I mean? I'm going to reinvent myself, and I'm going to be at peace with what I do, and everything's going to be okay. And I don't, and it's so funny how the universe works out things, because when I was working for the computer company, I was gradually going up in ranks, and I'm like, this is cool, because when Cass gets older, I'll be able to tell her how I took care of her brother, had all these degrees. And, she would be proud of me. So when they had a huge layoff, my ego was crushed. It was just like, Now what I'm gonna be the stay-at-home mom, and she's not gonna see where I'm taking care of things. That was my mentality.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so then I began to work to teach. And one day she said to me, she says, "Mommy, I love you. You're such a good teacher. I want to be a teacher too." And it was just like a huge like awakening. And I was just like, all this time I've been working 60 hours for this company.
So you know what, Izzy, I think, so, we're talking because we're both career moms, so that's our experience. Right. But I also feel like men, dads, and especially like, those who are married, taking care of the kids or have partners and, they're doing the kid household thing. A lot of times I feel like the men of the house, a lot of them feel like that's their contribution, right? Exactly what you said in terms of, I want to work, I want to provide, I want to, have my family feel proud of me, when really that's not what your family is looking for you. You know what I mean? Like that's not where their love for you is coming from. Right. But it's just, the mentality of being able to provide, whether you're, a single household or not, being able to provide in like materialistic ways.
Right.
So
it's a conditioning. And when I let all of that go, I was able to spend more quality time with both of them, to actually be here when they came through the door, to ask them how their day was, and to be able to organize my schedule where I could, be at school functions, or I could meet with, parents sometimes when they go on like, little play dates and things like that. So I had to learn to balance it out, because I didn't, if I don't have family here who can contribute, then I am it. And I need to be there for the most part of everything if possible. But trying to balance that out in the beginning, because of my mindset, was a little bit difficult, because I was just like, I gotta be this way in order to, to withhold these standards that society has put on me, that, it's, and it's crazy. I don't even know what year was that. That was probably like, I want to say 2012, because it was like this phase that we all went through where you had, the hashtag boss mom, boss babe.
Right. Yeah. Girl, let me tell you, I used to wear, when I was like, also, once I had them and went back working and stuff like that, then I was kind of in that career mindset too. And then I was like doing all of the things, which is like wearing clothes that really wasn't me, but it kind of like fit in, and all this, trying to give like a certain impression of, you know what I mean? And now, and I would even say the store that I bought these clothes from, but now when I walk in, I'm just like, why? But I think we all, and then I, like for me, I started my career straight out of college. And I think there's this conditioning when you start out of college and then you go into like a corporate career, you're thinking like truly like 1980s, 1990s work environment. Like I need the look, and I need this, and you can't show any frustrations from home, and all that. So yeah, I definitely went through that. And then I don't know when the light flipped for me, but at some point, I don't know if it was just getting older or it was just like, forget it. But once you free yourself of that kind of expectation, and that's one of the things that I would love for people, especially young moms and even young dads, to realize that, just find a place where you can be your authentic self.
Right.
Because then that takes a lot of pressure off too. Trying to be somebody else while you're trying to manage and parent, and thinking you're showing your kids, like you said, like, the way.
This is funny. And I think about this when we're talking. I remember not telling the company that I was pregnant. I literally was pregnant the whole time. They didn't know I was pregnant, and they didn't know that I had a baby. And the reason why is I remember having a mentor saying, "Don't you tell them that you're pregnant when you go," because I was pregnant when I was hired. And so they were like, if you tell them that you're pregnant, even if you have a car and you go up into their office in their parking lot, take your car seat out, because there's ways that they can discriminate. And I was like, really? So they didn't know that I had children. they didn't know that I was pregnant. I mean, literally had the cast. I think it was on a Thanksgiving week.
Right.
So we were off for work anyway. I had off.
Wow.
And then I just came back home and just went back to work. There's times when I was working, I had her on my arm. And I don't think they knew that I had her even after I downsized. Yeah.
Get out of here. Yeah, I've heard, and I think even today, well, like fairly recently, within the past like 4 or 5 years, I have had those types of conversations. Well, now, I would say like 7 years back. But anyway, I've had those conversations with women where they're like, oh, I'm pregnant. I want to go for this job, but I don't know if I should tell them, you know what I mean? Right. And I was always like, you got to do what's comfortable for you at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because you don't know what's in people's mindsets, you know? Right. So they very much could discriminate against you, and they're not supposed to, but hello, that's right. You know,
I was like, I'm not going to take the chance. So they never knew. So when they let everybody go, which it was an awesome company, they were really, when they let everyone go, they provided us with a nice package and another, company to help us find another career, like coaches and things like that. And, but I just didn't want to take the chance. They had no clue.
That is crazy. Let's go to some messages.
Sure.
And see, we got 7 messages here. Monica says, hello. Hi. Thank you for joining us. Charles Brakely says, good evening, ladies. Good evening to you, sir.
Charles. She calls me Dr. Doolittle.
Dr. Doolittle, you have not lied. Have you seen the chicken videos in the video she sends me? Okay, so is it Lakaya? You can correct me. But hello, Queens. Hello to you, my dear. Thank you for joining. All right.
Charles Brakely says you have to be very careful, though, at choosing the right daycare. Sometimes they don't do a thorough background check on employees. Yes. No, Chuck, I was off the chain. They had to have doors that had a special code to go in and cameras and access by phone where I could see my kids. Yeah. I was bad.
You know, there's this one street in Orlando. I'm not going to say the street, but there is a street in Orlando. Literally one day, it's right around from my parents' house. So it's a long road. One day we're driving home on the street. I literally counted the number of daycares on the street. Wow. And it was, I think it was around like 15 or something.
Yeah.
On one street. And, I was just like, wow, like really, because people are in from it for the money.
Right, right.
Like, there's no way in one street there should be 15 daycares. Are you kidding me?
Lot. Yeah, I think there's only like 3 or 4 here. I mean, like legit daycares, not the kind that like are in the home, and not that they're not legit, but like a structure. Charles Bucky said, "Yes, the family wants that quality time." It's true.
It is true.
Charles also says, when you get older, your expectations change. Yeah. They totally do. Like I could care. I don't care about half of the stuff. Travar Johnson, hey Travar, how are you? He says, hey Izzy, thanks for making my day. Aww.
She makes our day. She makes my day every day.
I'm gonna wake up with a song tomorrow just for that.
But yeah, but very, very true. That family quality time is really important. And even like the late nights working, you know what I mean? Right. So that was one of the reasons. That was 2 main reasons why, I just left my job. Sorry, this cat is sitting next to me and I'm petting him. It's okay. They're like going everywhere. And I'm just like why is it? Okay, just so y'all know.
I'm so used to people. Like I've been watching like all types of podcasts and things like that. And there's a lot going on now. Everybody has their kids home. Anything's possible.
Yeah,
you good?
Yeah. And I'm like, why? I feel like I got like, but anyway, but yeah, so that's one of the main reasons, one of my 2 main reasons why I left my job of 20 something years is one, to be closer to my parents. But the other thing is in the summertime, I was working till like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and all this stuff during the summer months, you know what I mean? Which is basically vacation months. But David's birthday falls in July. And so because I had this big, like strategic project that always happened that time of his birthday, One was a conference, and back to back was a conference and then the strategy project. And for the conference, it was like someplace I had to travel. And so for that, reason, I would send him to my parents in Orlando. So at least he can have a summer, you know what I mean? For like a couple of weeks or so. But, and then this last summer, I was like, I can't, like, this boy's going into high school. What am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, I can't just, and it's not as much about like his birthday per se, as it is like, this is the time. Right. So like, I can't. So anyway, so that going back to that quality time, I think we have to make it a priority, because if we're expecting the jobs to do it for us, some jobs are better than others. So, you know what I mean? Which is great. And I feel like a lot of jobs now are starting to turn that way. COVID, I think, has accelerated a lot of companies' thinking when it comes to like family and work and, that flexibility. But at the end of the day, it's up to us to make that time for our families.
I felt like companies lost track of that, because I remember like, around 2011, 12, 13, I remember some companies that I applied for that actually had childcare in the building. Like you could bring your child. And it was like, but then it kind of like fell short. And like you said, COVID brought that back. Like, what are you going to do? There's nothing. If you value this employee and he or she brings this to your company and they have to watch their kids or homeschool them, you don't have a choice pretty much. You know what I mean? If you want to keep things rocking and rolling. So,
I think companies that had younger populations probably, you know what I mean? And like your IT companies, because they tend to have younger populations. But I agree.
Yeah.
That is.
Send you this, I always send you documentaries, and I can't remember the name of it, but I watched it. It was an hour and something long, and I know it was in the UK, and I want to say it was a limousine company, but this guy wanted to try something new. And what he did was he allowed parents, moms, dads, to bring in their children to work the entire 8-hour shift.
Oh, no,
he gave them enough cubicle space. I know. Can I tell you? Let me tell you this. No, seriously, my palms were sweating, like watching these parents struggle trying to give their child attention. Like this one lady had like her baby was like in between, baby and going into toddler. So I saw that phase, and he literally was next to her in a playpen, and he would crawl all over her, and she was trying to answer the call, and it was just so much. But she said she enjoyed having her child there with her because she did not want to miss anything. For me, I don't think I could do that, because it was just, like there for the whole shift. That's a whole 8-9 hour shift.
Yeah, no, I like when like, being able to run over and see them during the middle of the day. And I understand when, they're really tiny and, that's nice, but that's, no.
It was that one point, like her coworkers came over and helped her. Like everybody chipped in.
Yeah.
So, and it was some of the workers there had never had children before, and they were like trying to help. And I just felt like it was a great idea, but there was a lot of tension trying to manage all these children, in a work setting, a busy work setting.
Girl, and I have a sensitive nose too. I'd be like, somebody's diaper needs to be.
Kendra, please, I want you to listen. I'm gonna have another baby. You're gonna have another baby. We're gonna go work for this company. I want you to sit next to me in this
No, I'm not doing none of that. So you guys let us know how your experience was working, parenting. We want to hear from you too, because it is definitely a challenge, can be a challenge. Now David is I feel very blessed that he is 13, especially in this COVID times where people are working from home, like my coworkers, especially when we first started, and when, people didn't know what was happening with schools and all that wasn't, and having little kids during that time while they're trying to work from home. I mean, they were legit stressed out. And I was like, I cannot, there were times when David was younger that I would work from home. And I remember one time my manager, like I had to run a meeting. David might've been like 4 or something like that. And so I did that, and he was home with me. And then after the meeting, my manager called and she said to me, she was like, Kendra, you did it. You ran the meeting and David was, and I was all like,
Right.
All proud of myself and stuff. I really was like, I was so proud of myself because I was like, oh man, like I can do both things. But now it's funny, like you do it and you don't even think about it. It's like, okay,
So how do you now? Because we have just come together. Our connection has just begun. And we have so many different like pots on the stove. And you are just my type of girl because we both are just like, okay, let's just put this here, simmer that. We're going to turn the volume up on this right here. This got to like,
we're going to use our in the door.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're so much like me. What are you doing to balance this out, especially with some new things that you have going on?
Yeah, I'm not balancing. I don't have a goal to balance. So, but for real, like I don't have a goal to balance. I've decided that it's really like this.
Right.
Depending on the thing, right? So sometimes I'm giving more attention to something than something else. So, and I'm okay with that. I mean, if I turn my camera around, I got laundry on this chair over here from yesterday that's not getting put up till this weekend. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's, and I think the other thing, because I do have people, they're like, man, you do so much. How do you do it? And my mom's all like, get some rest and, which I understand. And I do definitely need to do, but I just try not to think about it. I'm just like, I'm just doing it, without thinking about it, because I feel blessed that everything that I'm doing, I love to do. I mean, even my daytime job, so I'm doing all of the stuff, and I'm not trying to do it perfectly. I used to, I used to try to keep the house clean and do this, and nobody's coming over my house, like for real. You know what I mean? But I used to really try to, have things like I wanted stuff to look nice and I wanted to smell good and I wanted this and that and that. But I've decided, no, that's not. I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to do it perfect, and I'm going to be all right. Now, what I will say is, with David getting, again, older, so that makes it easier. But recently, I've, also I'm like, okay, I have to get me and him back together more too, right? Because he has school, and then he does his gaming, and then I have work, and then I'm doing all the other things. So, I have to make sure that I'm, putting more time into that, even though when I'm like, come on, David, let's go. He's like, no, Mom, I'm good. I'm playing with my friends.
Right. I know, right?
So anyway, so that's how I'm doing it. I'm just going all in.
Yeah. I think I was at the point where everything had to be like super perfect. The house. And like you said, even Caleb, because children will say things like, Caleb's like, I don't know why you're cleaning. We don't even have company. And I'm like, you're right. Why am I like, like it had to be like super perfect. The way that I looked, the way that the house looked, everything had to be folded. And I had broken my foot once and I just couldn't keep up with everything, and I just realized, hey, it is what it is. That was like my new thing, this is what it is. And that's okay, because I can't be perfect. I can't have, everything going perfect at work. The kids are perfect. That's not what it's about. And so, like you said, I have a pile of clothes that are like my pile of clothes are so bad, girl. They're clean that when my father came to visit, he put dirty clothes in the clean clothes because he thought that was a dirty clothes pile. I said, no.
Wow.
To get to that point, to just leave it, even when my parents come, that's a huge accomplishment, because it was like whenever they came to visit, I felt like, not that they put any pressure on me, that I just had to have it all together. So they would think that I was okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like for me, if I have people coming over, then I'm like, okay, let me do all the things. But then I don't mind, because I feel like it's like for a purpose, because I, want the environment to be nice for them and all that. So I don't mind that. But on a day-to-day basis, like don't come to my house and try to surprise me with a surprise visit. You will be surprised when I open that door and I am like not dressed. You're like, what? What time is it? That just wasn't a priority today.
I have my wonderful neighbor. She comes over all the time, and I'm just like, dude, those dishes are from yesterday. Because it depends, like today, Thursdays are pretty busy for us. We're working, doing our thing. And then we have our podcast at night. And then we have our other days that we do. And people don't realize it takes time to record and to do those things. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, I've taught Cass to fix her own food. She can do her own thing. Caleb is always cooking it up. So that kind of helps out a lot.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
The difficult part for me is I'm such a planner. And when the best thing for me to do is to put things down. And if I cross it off, I'm good. But if I don't cross it off, it has to go over to the next day. But before, I couldn't do that. It was like, it all has to be done. This list has to be checked off. And it would cause more stress for me when it wasn't done. So now I'm just like, okay, let it carry over to the next day, or let it carry over to the week. I'll give myself a week's time to get it finished.
Right.
And then I started to think, I'm showing my friends that this is how, or family members, that I'm supposed to be perfect when I'm not. Things go wrong. I don't want people to think that everything is great. There's days when I don't have my makeup on, or there's days my hair is messed up, then you might catch me.
Right. I know. That's what I'm
saying. In the Walmart, and you'd be like, wait a minute, is that Izzy? Yes, girl, it's me.
I know. No, it's difficult. But I think, the parenting and working and trying to manage all the things, like it's possible. And I think we put too much pressure on ourselves and all that. Like I still, of course we did that vision board, right? So it's not like we're running around all loosey-goosey. We still have our vision board. We still have our goals and stuff like that. But unless it's certain things I have tied to like a timeline, but other things, I don't. So that's all I have to, that's what I've learned.
Love to hear from some of the men in the audience, especially if you're a single dad and you're like running things, or even if you have your child like part-time sometimes, how you balance that. And if there's completely a difference in being like a stay-at-home dad, even if we have some stay-at-home dads, I know quite a few stay-at-home dads actually. They are the bomb.
I know a couple. And I wonder too, like, just because the way men think versus women, if it's easier for them to let it go. I mean, I remember traveling with colleagues and they left their kid, with their husband or, the father or something. And they are like, calling and freaking out. And I'm like, well, that's their child too, right? Like, what do you think they're going to do? I'm pretty sure they want him or her to be alive when you get back. So they're going to be okay. But
I call grandparents and I'm like, you got to help out. This is crazy. I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll wait for Caleb.
I was going to say real quick, you brought up a good point about the kids having the kids help. Because that's something that I have to do more often. Like on our weekends, we do like cleaning chores. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he knows what he has to do. I know what I need to do. But during the week, in terms of, buying things that he can like cook up and stuff like that. I have some of that stuff. But like on Thursday nights, to your point, like usually I order out. Because I know Thursdays is like a long day. So I'm like, let's just, that's my order out days. But yeah, having kids be more responsible for things versus us thinking that we have to do it all.
Yeah. No, Caleb, he cooked himself. Like today he made a quesadilla on spinach, like quesadilla with spinach, artichoke, some type of chicken and cheese fried up on a stove. Now, I get him to do that. My only issue is that he cooks and then Cass will cook. So now I've got two sets of dishes because everybody's cooking, but nobody's cleaning the dishes now.
Well, if they're cooking, then you clean it, right?
I clean the dishes, right?
Oh gosh.
I'm not gonna let them see this video because I don't want them to. I want them to do the dishes too.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. But it looks like we have three
comments coming up here. Travar Johnson says, "Going speeding now. Be great, young buck." He calls me young buck.
What?
Travar, please drive safely and at the speed limit. I appreciate that. Lamar Avery says, you need you need to help stop trying to do things alone. Oh yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Lamar Avery says it takes a village.
It does.
Does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does. But then that's kind of like, it's an ego thing. And it's a part of conditioning of thinking that we have to do all of this. Because I can tell you right now, I took pride in saying, I had my kids off to school on time. All of their homework was done. Their grades are perfect. You know what I mean?
Right,
and it was
right,
just like, you know, that kind of thing. I did it all by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. We did.
And then I realized that for what? That's what people, you know, like today, I had a lot going on. I told Cass to vacuum the upstairs and downstairs. I give her little chores. She did that, wiped off the kitchen table. Boom. I was doing something else completely different. It makes her feel more responsible. You know, she's feeling like a little, you know, lady cleaning up, and just then she's like, Mom, I'm finished. And then she did her little homework.
Right.
But before I would try to do it all, and then I'd be like cranky crabby because no one helped. But I didn't ask anybody to help. You know what I mean?
Say that again.
I didn't ask for help.
Did not ask for help. I know. I was like that too. And that's another reason why I'm glad I'm moving back home. So that way I have that support after doing it so long solo.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not the type where I'm like, oh, I don't need anybody, or I don't need this. I mean, please. I'm telling you right now, for any guy that comes into my life, you will be changing the light bulbs and doing all of the things. I'm tired of doing all of the things. I'll be like, no, I don't know how to do that. No, I don't know how to do that. Can you fix it? Thanks.
It's a lot when you try to do it yourself. And then I think I had to get tired to get over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I had to be tired to the point where I just can't physically do everything all the time. And then my schedule changed and my career just took a whole shift. I went from, you know, working for a corporate office to now teaching meditation. And then it went from that to like having my kids here 24/7, never getting a break, never having childcare or a babysitter. You know what I mean? Right. So I had to shift my mindset and say, hey, we're all in this house together. There's certain things that you're going to have to do.
Right.
We need to work this out so that I can stay sane because, you know, and I'm a neat freak. So
right.
Having them in the house with me all the time. Oh my gosh.
Well, when you said that, I know one of my stressors are we have a dog and a cat, right?
Yeah.
And because I'm typically up earlier than David, and I'm like moving, you know, I do my workout, I start moving around and stuff. Then I'm like, okay, you know, let me take the dog out. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do that. And then I like spend about 45 minutes trying to wake him up to get him ready for school. And that like drives me insane. I'm like, come on, because the boy can sleep through an alarm like nobody's business. Yes, so some days, and it's you have to like break the cycle, and I'm still in the cycle. So, but some days I'm more aware that I'm doing it. And then on those days, I'm like, David, you feed the animals. I'm like, okay, I take care of the humans. You take care of the animals, and all of us will live. Right. You know what I mean? Like, but it's easy for me. It's so easy for me to just be like, okay, you know, I'll do this. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do that. Right. And you're right. Then you get like really cranky and crabby because you're like, you're just tired and drained before even you really start your day. Right. So, yeah.
Because, and think about it. Like, I mean, back in the day, there's not been a time where my mom has really been a homemaker. I think maybe she took off some time with my brother. But I had aunties that were homemakers, and their responsibilities were, you know, to take care of the house and things like that. And even back in time, they did that. It was just that one thing. They focused on that. So I saw a lot of the house being cleaned and clothes being prepared for husbands and things like that. Yeah. And so I have that in my head, and then I have the career in my head. So you're trying to do like both. You cannot. You have to have some type of help. But when we become Oprah status, I'm gonna have a maid and a chef. That's my dream.
Ooh, I want a chef.
Just someone to prepare a meal for me so I don't have to cook as much.
Yeah. I do enjoy cooking, but on the days that I don't want to or trying to think of what is it to cook, I'm with you 100%. Now, I was thinking about like when I was growing up, both of my parents worked. So my dad, he was in the Air Force, and then my mom was a beautician. And you know, beauty shops stay open late. So, you know, I was the kid that came home and did things, but I liked it. Like for me, it wasn't, you know, I don't feel like I'm going to write some sad book about it, you know?
Right.
So for me, it was, I think it taught me like some independence. Well, it definitely taught me independence. And then I love going to hang out with my mom in the beauty shop and seeing her, you know, the way she managed her stuff. And, you know, like I loved that. So I think that also is where I kind of get my drive from, you know, from my dad and my mom and seeing them do it. And then I had this independence to do it, you know, coming home, girl, cooking up my chicken pot pie in the microwave.
Doing your own thing. I know. Right? Back then, there was frozen meals. That thing was like those little meals.
Yeah, girl, frozen meals all day, and I loved it. And now I'm
hot pockets and stuff like that. We were loving that.
The little pizza things, the little pizza things that you would put in the microwave. Ugh.
Yeah. See, I was spoiled. My mom worked. And my dad worked. My dad he's a contracting engineer, and my mom was a dental assistant. And then she went into a different field. But I would stay with my aunt, and my aunt was a homemaker, and she had to have dinner. I mean, dinner was ready for my uncle when he came home. So we're talking like Southern meals at 5 and 6 o'clock in the, you know, during the weekday and on the weekends and things like that. So I didn't, I don't think I started like really making my own meals until I was probably, oh my gosh, maybe like in my 20s or so, because I would always go over there to eat. And then we had, I mean, hoagies and cheesesteaks and pizza, because right around the corner was a hoagie shop or a pizza shop. So I would just grab a slice, you know, on my way to college and whatnot. And that's how I survived. But it's so funny how things were so different for career-oriented moms back then than they are now. I feel like it's a faster pace because my mom was a career-oriented person. She loved her job and she worked hard and her hours were long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she also had help, and she was okay to say, you know what, hey, I need you to watch the kids this day and to do things like that. But now, you know, it's just like we feel like we have to do everything. And there's much more to do.
Yeah.
There's much
more to do, and the focus is definitely on, like you said, like being a boss and being that, which, you know, I think that's fine. I mean, I got boss on my vision board too, but it's more like, you know, not necessarily trying to be a boss for the sake of saying that I'm a boss, you know, type of thing. Like there's purpose behind it. But yeah, I think now it's a lot more focused around materialistic things as well. You know, like I think people are working for that, and that's that status, and the show that you've obtained this and that, and then your kids got like the latest Jordans on and all that. And at the end of the day, and no knock if your kid is wearing Jordans right now, I'm not mad at you.
I know, right?
But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like the things that we work ourselves for, and like you said at the beginning, those are the things that your kids aren't really going to, you know, when they're at your funeral, they're not going to be like, oh, well, you know, my mom got me these Jordans and she worked to death to get me the Jordans, you know, no. So
they're going to remember those moments. I can tell you the moments I remember with my parents, and the moments are them sacrificing and saving and budgeting so we could go on vacation every year to Virginia. And the funny thing is, as a kid, I was like, Lord, please, if we go to Virginia one more time, because they would always bring us here in the heat, like August, and it was super, super hot, and we would get here. So I told my parents, I'll never move to Virginia, and guess where I am? In Virginia. So never say never.
Never say never. I love Virginia though. But yeah, and for me, my best memories for my parents was we were always out doing stuff. Yeah. So, you know, we would go, and I look at, you know, David and I, and you do mimic the behavior of your parents, you know, if you're around them, you know, for those of us that are around our parents a lot growing up. So, but me and my mom would go and play tennis. We would go to the gym all the time, you know, mom, dad, me. We'd always go on trips. Now I was fortunate enough to live overseas. So we were in Japan for 4 years. Yeah. So we would go out to all the festivals and go all of the stuff. So when there were times we weren't one of those like, okay, everybody stay at home when we're off.
Right.
So we were always out doing stuff. So those are like my best memories in terms of, so they were able to work, do all of the things, but then also, kind of make time for us to hang out and do fun stuff. So, yeah. So
I'm wondering, and this just came to my mind, like for women, like you said, we're trying to make this boss thing. Are men thinking the same way? Like, do they think that they have to?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Like, do they walk in and just feel like, what, I have to be like boss. I gotta be, I don't know.
I think so. I really do. I think they do. Because I think they have so much pressure. I think we both probably really have the equal amount of pressure, but just different things. Because I think for them, I don't know, just like historically, right? They were always the providers. And it's interesting because now more women are providers versus, what it has been. And you mentioned before, like stay-at-home dads and all that. So I think there's like, for the dads that are working, there's probably that same feeling like, okay, I need to be the boss and I got to bring home the bacon, you know what I mean? Type of thing. And then for the stay-at-home dads, like I always wonder, do they feel the pressure of going back to work or going to a job, So, yeah.
I'm curious. So, because, we're getting closer and closer to getting up there. I'm not going to say our age.
No, we're not. No,
oh, she
I'm fine. You can say our age. I don't care.
And parenting never ends. Parenting never ends. People say that, you got elementary school, middle school, high school, they go off to college, they get married, maybe not, and they go off in their adulthood. And so where do you see yourself the next 10 years with your career?
Right.
And thinking of your children, because at one point in my mind, I was just like, wherever Caleb goes, I'm packing up and I'm going to. If he moves to California, I'm going to California. But that was when he was a baby. Now he's 17 and he's got like a bunch of hormones going. I'm like, dude, bye. I'll see you on Zoom.
I know, that's right. There's all kinds of technology these days.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. And, so his dad is just like, well, wow, you're kicking him out. Yeah, I'm kicking him out. He got to go. Cass do it too. Take him, get 2-bedroom apartment so Cass will come with you. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. I tell David, I'm like, you're taking the animals. So just so you know, if they're still alive, you're taking them. In 10 years. So for 10 years for me, I already plan to be retired.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that is fully doable. So I'm like setting up myself for that type of situation.
Now define retired.
Retired from corporate retired.
From corporate. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, corporate retired, but still very much active in the health and wellness space, growing more life, growing, other businesses. So that and taking more of like a consulting type of role with people when it comes to health and wellness. I want to get certified in like herbal medicines and stuff like that. So that's where I see myself. And then in terms of like proximity to David, for me, wherever he wants to go, is fine with me. I don't need to be I don't feel like I need to follow him because I feel like he'll be independent and fine and stuff. Now, I don't want to really, I want to be able to travel, so that's my main thing is that I want to retire early. I want to be able to travel and I want to be at peace knowing that he is doing what he's supposed to do. And then, come knock on his door and be like, Mom's here. I'm staying for a week.
Right.
So that's what I'm envisioning. So my goal is and always has been for me to raise someone. I always tell him, I want him to be independent and have a positive impact on the world.
Yeah.
That's, if he does those two things, and I don't mean like necessarily he has to be president, but, even just like a positive impact in your community or something. So that's my goal. As long as he's doing that, then, I'm off. Girl. I am off.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Like to know, and I wanted you to define that because I know that there's no way you're going to be able to sit still and just do nothing when you retire.
Girl, you know me. I know.
Yeah, because I mean, and it doesn't stop there. They're going to need you for certain things, so it'll be better to have a freer schedule at that point in your life to be able to go to functions and things that may occur.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'll definitely be, want to be there for all of the things. But let's say, I'm in Europe someplace. I'm be like, well, I'm in Europe. So, I might have to miss this one.
So, I think I've gotten over. At one point, it was just like I have to be there for every single thing, and then I realized that I'm not going to be able to do that, and that's fine. That's fine. I think we have some more comments that are coming out. Let's see. Travar Johnson says, I raised my daughter to be self-sufficient. I see her every day. Aw, I let her do her thing because she has so many activities, but I do stress that she does for herself so much that she takes care of me, picks out my clothes and food. Oh, that's so sweet.
I don't know if that's sweet though.
Aw.
Come on, picking out the clothes and the foods, like
yes, that's her way of being a nurturer. You know what I mean? That's a nurturing characteristic. Well, and then when she gets to the point where she's on her own, she'll be able to nurture her child or her husband. Either way.
Well, as long as it's balanced, as long as it is balanced out with nurturing the right one, right? Because people can take advantage. The people can take advantage of that. So I'm all with the, self-sufficient and all that.
Yeah.
But I do think, as parents, whether we know it or not, we are also teaching our kids how to be in relations with other people. Right. So I think we have to be like, I try to be cognizant of that, but I'm not definitely not perfect at it. But yeah,
you know,
as long as with the person who deserves her and will treat her like that. Because I'm all for like, spoiling and doing all like I love all of that, but it's got to be the right person who truly cherishes and not uses you.
Yeah. No, Travar is a big dude. He's probably like 6'4", 6'5". He ain't letting nothing happen to that girl.
That's right. Protect her.
Charles Brakely says a lot of people live above their means. It's true.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it really is true. Lamar Avery says invest in generational wealth, family. It's true.
Yes, exactly.
Like, my biggest thing that I've been wanting to do is to not celebrate holidays. I mean, in a sense where we exchange gifts, especially for Christmas. And instead of those, invest in for Christmas, let's go away on a trip. Let's go, we used to do that for Thanksgiving. Instead of like, doing this crazy thing and spending all this money, we would go on a trip. Same thing for Christmas, same thing for Easter, all those holidays, and just get rid of that. And instead of buying material things, buy experiences.
Right.
That is a goal that I like, but it's so hard to get the kids out of a conditioning of not seeing a tree up in the house and a gift. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe this year they might be mature enough, but I know in the years past, it's just like, I was like, dude, I don't want to be here for Christmas. I do not want to be here for Christmas. I want to go somewhere else. And they're like, no. What about the tree?
I'm with the kids on that one. Just more sentimental and like, I think about like growing up, and then we had the tree and eggnog and the music, and then it was like all of us putting the lights on. So more like for me, it was like a bonding time where we like really, really bonded, and it was super fun. Now, what I will say with David, we start off putting the ornaments together, and then I'm left like putting the ornaments.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, what happened? So this year we got a tree, right? And our tree was like, I think we just put on like some things. But I was just happy to have like a live Christmas tree, and our live Christmas tree was so beautiful. We didn't need a whole bunch of things, but and I did I put on the music. I tried to set the mood, like, okay. And he's like, So yeah, I think kind of getting to that point
Oh,
too.
girl, you wait. It's gonna get like I can't even get Caleb. He will come and put one ornament on and smile for me, and he is out. He's like, I'm not doing that at all.
But I'm
Lamar
like you.
Avery says,
I love experiences.
I know, right? Dad, get out of the home and go to work. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't know statistics on that. I've not done any research on it, but I would really like to know like how what the statistics are now. Has it changed since COVID has come into play? Are there more stay-at-home dads, more dads that are pushed to be involved because before they didn't have to? Now, they don't have their job, but their wife has that job and they have to, I'd love to know what's going on with that.
That's a great point.
Lamar Avery says mom shouldn't have to work after she gives birth to children. That's why a wife needs a husband of high value that can take care of her 100% of her bills. Real men action. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I have so much to say about that.
Girl, say it. I'm drinking my water.
Okay. So I think that's cool. Because I've been at both ends of the spectrum where I've been like a stay-at-home mom and then I've been a career mom.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you don't nurture yourself properly, you can get stuck in that.
Yeah. You lose
I don't think you should lose your vision in that. Yeah. And I tried not to do that the whole time. Like I always stayed active in something that wasn't just for the kids, but was for me. Because if I get so stuck in their thing, then I lose a part of me. And a part of me always wanted to be career oriented. So I always take time out to do what I love to do, even if it was small. I've always been an entrepreneur. So, at one point I was staying at home and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to crochet these scarves and I'm going to sell that. You know what I mean? I had to always constantly keep myself moving and taking care of myself. I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think it's, awesome. But if it doesn't pan out that, the man can take care of the woman and it goes the other way around, I think it should work out that way too. And I think we're probably getting into something completely different.
No, let's go.
But yeah, so I don't think that the traditional values work anymore as opposed to the way they did back in the day. And somebody's going to probably, go ahead. I'm going to do like Kendra Dill.
Take a drink. Well, let's do this. Before I come back to my response, can we take a quick commercial break?
Go to a commercial break.
Yep. And then I'll.
Yep, we are back.
We are back. All right, so let's put the comment back up just so I can refresh.
Yeah. So that was your A game. Make sure you contact Chuck if you need to get your A game on.
My computer's gonna die. Hold on.
Oh no, get your cord. I'll read the comment. So Lamar Avery says, that's the comment, the same one from before.
All right.
So I want to hear what Kendra has to say about this.
Yeah, can you put it up? What the comment
there
was?
Goes. Yeah.
Okay, so mom shouldn't have to work after she gives birth to children. That's why a wife needs a husband of high value that can take care 100% of the bills. Real men action. I agree. Mm-hmm. Like, I agree. Ideal. Now, Izzy, I think you and I are different in this point because I still love like the traditional values of like, I'm very much like, as independent as I am, I also, love the back in the day, long-term marriages. I love that. Not that I think that, people have to stay together if things aren't working out. But yeah, so I myself find value in the way things were done from a traditional sense. But at the same time, unfortunately, I feel it's just so many things like has happened where that is more of a rarity than not, and I think some of that is, for example, someone like a woman being with a man who tries to hold his position in a state of power over her. Right. So that, I don't like. And so I think, some women were trapped under that. And I'm trying to get to the point. My point is trying to morph into why I do agree with him. But then at the same time, I understand the progression where we are today, where a lot of women, if not most women, don't have this type of situation for various reasons. So, I think, giving your power away, so to speak, as a woman to somebody else who, you're going to depend on for your housing and your food and your clothing, and not have that person hold that over you in terms of that's something that, if you can find someone that does that, then that's great. And kudos to you. I also think, to Izzy's previous point about losing your identity, so I think you can also, in that situation, your identity can get lost, because it's easy for us to do, right? So if you take away being a wife, if you take away being a mother, if you take away being an employee, do you know who you are? Who are you? Like, remove all those titles. So I think, a woman in that situation does run the risk of that being how she defines herself, and possibly how, he defines her as well. So I think it's great, but I think it's also something that we should I don't know, just be sensitive about. What that really entails and means, and then that relationship, how that relationship works and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If some guy came in and say, I'll take care of you, you don't have to go to work. You can focus on all your businesses and all that. I'll be like, okay, that's what's up. but it can't be like it. But my point is, but it can't be just any guy, right? So and so that's the thing. And then also too, I think, the woman would have to also have that respect for the man that she's with, to kind of, so I don't know. I think the respect thing for me, that's the thing that I feel like is kind of, I feel like back in the day, people had more respect for each other. And I feel like now it's more like, well, you do what I did, what you want to do, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And, all that. And then, so.
But giving a woman the choice, you know what I mean? I know we have, 6 kids together, and economically, it would be great if you stayed home. However, what would you like to do? Well, I would like to work part-time during the afternoon, just so I can have a break away from the kids and to feel like I'm not losing that sense of career. You know what I mean? If you have that choice, then that's fine. And I also think that, like when I came up, most of the women in my family had husbands that they took care of, basically. So I saw that. But I think that we should also let our daughters know, let our children know that you can choose. You don't have to, stay at home if you don't want to, or, maybe you could take the children to work because there is a daycare. But I think working together and giving each other a choice. I mean, heck, for all we know, he might want to stay home and he might want for you to pay the bills. I just think that, everyone should have a choice. Things have changed completely. Like a lot since back in the day when my parents were raising us. And it takes 2 people to work together to try to pull this thing off.
I agree. I 100% agree. I mean,
especially if you have like a baseball team of kids or.
I mean, we say that, Izzy, but like there's a lot of single parents out there that's doing it. But I agree with you. You have to have that conversation, and ideally have it before you have kids. Right, because most people don't have they don't have that conversation until you have kids, and then you're working, and then there's some conflict that comes up, and then now you're battling each other. Well, you never had this conversation in the beginning, so the expectations weren't set. So Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's a lot.
That's from my own, personal experience. So I'm not trying to be like, Dr. Ruth or anything to anybody, but for my own, but for my own, from my own experience, of not doing that, that is something that, I wish I could, think now, of course. And it's something getting wiser and,
Yeah. Now I know how we're handling things as parents. I'm wondering how people are handling things as parents and having to work both at home. Everybody's at home. The kids are at home. You know what I mean? Like how that's going for, people to have. If anybody's in the audience, to let us know how you're handling career and having everyone in the house.
Everyone. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because that is one beauty thing of being single, because you could just be like, okay, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's just me and David.
Everybody in the house. You just nice.
If it was a house full, especially if you have multiple kids, that's a lot. Now, one of my good girlfriends, I just had dinner with her a couple of nights ago. And what her and her husband does, they give each other like Mondays off. Oh. So her and I, so they interchange Mondays, and for that reason, because with COVID and having two kids, and they have two small kids, it was a lot. And she said she started to feel like just kind of like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the agreement that they came to. And so she was like telling me her first Monday, that was like her Monday evening. She's like, she just went to the mall and walked around, and she's just like, wow, you know what I mean? And then when we were talking about going out to dinner, she was like, oh man, that's perfect. It's, my Monday. So I was like, okay, cool. And I
love that.
That's so smart and very thoughtful, so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
like teamwork right there, because things have changed and they will never go back the same. They're going to gradually go. And then you just need to have like that support system, whether you're married or single, to do something and be able to go. Even I see you go out sometimes, and that's good to be able to go out and have that break. You can't run a career and you can't, be a great parent unless you have some type of break, even if it's for like a half an hour. You know what I mean? I even started like creating special spaces that are mine. Earlier, I talked about being like a neat freak. Right. And everybody's like, I can find Cass. If I was after Cass, she's got a trail of stuff that literally leads to her room. I know where she is. One sock here, one shoe there. You know what I mean?
Right.
I started creating these spaces for me that are nice and neat. And that's my little comfortable spot. We have to be creative with these things now that we, are kind of like stuck. And if we still are maintaining a career at home, in our home office. So if it gives you a sense of peace. Even if
And then I was going to say, when you said maintaining things in home office, the other part too that I know people have struggled with is, because you are home and like my computer is on the dining room table, it's so easy to like just keep working. Oh, okay, I'm off, and then having dinner. Oh, let me go check for this email. It's like you got to turn it off. Like I turn it, unless I'm working on a project that is like urgent or there's some urgency around it where I do need to work. But otherwise, I'm not checking my email when I get off work. I'm not checking my email on the weekends. I just, when my computer's off, I'm off. That's it.
Yeah. You have to do that.
I've spoken to colleagues, and they have a hard time with that transition. And one of the things that they said, when you said create your own space, that's when I was listening to a podcast about that. They said that like create a space for your home office. So when you leave, and they said, actually, don't put it in your bedroom. Don't put it in your living room, because you want a space where you physically are leaving. That's giving you that signal that, okay, this is shut down and I'm not coming back here. So,
No, that's true. I don't like, before, once upon a time when I had a career that it was a job. It was bringing in the money. You know what I mean? Basically. And to this day, I still can't stand my basement. Like it brings back memories, because it was so stressful for me trying to work there.
Right.
I was working. I'd rather not be in the basement. But now I've created a space where, I do my meditation, things like that. It's for something that I really love. Right. The space for me is great, but I don't like going in the basement. I have an office down there too. I just am away from it completely, because it was so stressful. I was up late at night. I was trying to take care of Cass and work at the same time. And it just triggers a memory of just being so intense and trying to get where. And sometimes I would take classes at night like little certifications so that I could, you know, move on to the next position and things like that. So yeah, if you create that space in your room, that energy is going to be work related. You're not going to be able to sleep. And before you know, like at first it might be cute. You know, you think it's cute working from home, sitting in your bed, you know.
My boss is going to see that I sent an email at 8:00 and he's working all night.
And then later on, you're going to run into sleep issues, or you're not going to be able to shut your brain off. You know, I believe the bedroom is a place of peace and quiet. And if you bring that work energy, that's where that energy is going to be. So that energy of work is down in the basement. It stays there. And now I have a new career. This is completely different. Like, I don't mind it being, you know, close in proximity with me. But if you do that and then just constantly, like I'm constantly on my phone.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to like leave it somewhere.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my kids think I'm playing video games. I'm like, dude, I'm working.
Yeah. I am with you on that. So they have those timers. So I put myself on a timer for Facebook.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that way it's like, okay, if I go hit it, it'll say like sleep mode for the next like 8 hours or something. And then there's an option where you can hit that option and it'll say use Facebook for 15 minutes, or you can end the time. And then I also put an alert on there that tells me how long, I put like, I think a 2-hour limit on there. So, or you can put whatever limit you want.
That's good.
It'll pop up and it'll say, okay, you've been on here, you know, for 2 hours. And I haven't set one for Instagram yet, but it's interesting because it does make you think twice. Like it's almost like that pause that you need to say, okay, versus just picking it up and scrolling. It forces you to pause. And then a lot of times I'm like, okay, let me put this, you know, put this down. So but it's tough.
Our careers are on a different level because I can only speak for us because I know you.
Yeah.
And Sin and I were talking about this because at one point we would I would take off a week, and you see like maintenance, you know, mental maintenance. I'm going to be off for a week or whatever. But then there started to be these algorithms with like Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And so we were talking about like at one point, since we run things ourselves, we haven't gotten to that point where we have like assistants or anything, you know, like you and I, we do our videos, we chop them up, we put the music to it, we do our ads, we do everything. And so we were just like, you know, we can't shut it off. We can't just afford to take off a week because we need that constant going. Because, and we love our career, but we have to create that space somehow. The last time I took off, I think I took off a week from Instagram and Facebook, your numbers and everything start to go down, and there's like a fluctuation.
It's horrible because that's what
you always feel like you're on.
Yeah, they want 24/7, and that's their measure.
It's crazy. So we have to create some type of space, and I think that's a great idea. With you saying the timer, I need to do that not be on
it's setting someplace, but it is a great timer thing.
Yeah, so they have it for children too.
Say that again.
They have it for children. Well, I went to get my computer fixed, and the guy was explaining to me that he has this connection on all of his children's phone, including his wife. And and what he does is, if they don't listen, he just shuts off everything, so they can't get onto it at all. Or he just gives them like 2 hours, and it just shuts off completely. I warned my kids about that, and they were like, "No, please don't do that." Don't do that.
I know. But you know, it is. We also, because they're going to be adults, right? And they're used to doing everything online and being on the computers all the time. So I think as hard of a time as we have shutting it off, I feel like they're going to have a real hard time shutting it off.
Yeah,
I know. You know, this has been their like childhood.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of times I'm forcing David to like, okay, let's go. You know, we're going to go here, there, because when they, and think about it, a lot of your jobs are going to be these IT jobs, web-based jobs, you know, this type of stuff. So they're going to be always. And
it's amazing that you can, I tell people like, I only use my laptop when we go on the videos, because literally this phone has Microsoft Office on it, Excel, everything that I need. I haven't been in a bank in years. I just usually do every banking and everything through my
Right.
phone. So, and it's handheld. So it goes everywhere you go. Your career and your work go everywhere, every place that you go. So we have to find a way. I even feel like my hand is like shaped like the phone and my thumbs are
Seriously.
because it's so much. It is so much. Oh my goodness. So before we go, I'm going to ask you, and then I'll think of something that I'd like to offer to our community. What advice would you give to parents in general who are career oriented and want to stay, to either have a balance, keep a balance, stay connected with their family, keep their career? What would you say to everyone?
Gosh. I think I would say what I said before, which is don't stress yourself out trying to balance all of the things. There's some times where you are going to, like for me, myself, there's sometimes where I am going to have to work late, you know, for my day job. There are times where I'm going to have the freedom to move. And, you know, you just have to like, you know, kind of like go like juggle. Not for me, it's more like juggle versus balancing. But what I do, and on days where I have to work late, like consecutively, you know, I'll say to David, I'm like, okay, David, like, I'm sorry. I know I'm working, you know, this, and I'm going to make up the time. We're going to go out and do something else. So I think, you know, when you're doing that stuff, I think it's okay to vocalize to your family that, you know, I know this sucks. This is what I have to do right now. And we're going to, you know, we'll do something when this is done. So for his spring break, we missed his spring break. We didn't travel. We didn't travel when they had like a winter break because I had a project to do. Right. So I couldn't do it. But what I did was I told him, as soon as I get freed up, you and I are out. And that's what we did. We went to New York for the weekend. So I think don't put too much pressure on yourself. Try to juggle, not balance, vocalize that everything, you know, that you're frustrated too, but this is what needs to be done because our kids need to know that so they don't fall into the trap of, you know, oh, everything, I'm striving to have everything perfect. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm learning.
I think I would say the biggest thing from what I've been through is to make sure that you do what's best for your family, for what's best for you and your family, whether it's financially or just being there for them. I think you need to do what's best for you because at the end of the day, that supervisor is going to do what's best for them. That company is going to do what's best for them. They're not thinking about you. And I'm not saying all companies are like that because there are some companies that are really family oriented. But at the end of the day, when they have to cut and lay people off, they're going to lay people off. They're not going to say, oh, well, she spent all this time away from her family or his family. You know what I mean? They're going to let you go because they have to do what's best for them. So I think that, you know, to really think about what your family needs and let the rest just play out. Because sometimes we put so much into that and then we look back and like, I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have did that. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. Yeah.
Because life is not
right.
One more comment.
Sweat and blood into everything. Oh my goodness. Avery says, no excuses. I never said give your power away. Ladies, what if you could have a healthy, positive marriage and you choose to have a child with your husband? You're telling me you would like to go right back to work after you give birth to your child. Oh boy, this might take us another 20 minutes because I already know what I'm about to say. With the motive to get away from your baby, to get a break. Now you have to drop your baby off at a daycare provider nowadays. Moral of the story is we have to be aware of the career and family setup that we want in the beginning. And I agree with that. I do agree with that. But I would go back to work after I had a baby, knowing that I had a supportive person. Doesn't matter. Boyfriend, husband, cousin, aunt, someone that's close close to me that I know would take care of my child. And of course, I would go back to work after that because I still feel like there would be a bond. And, maybe I would reduce my hours during the beginning and then gradually go back to work. But I wouldn't see a problem with going right back to work after I had a baby, as long as I had, like, my aunt took care of me and she was like my mother.
Right.
I knew, and I still have my mother there. She worked long hours and she did a great job. I didn't look at my aunt. I didn't look at my mom as less of a mother because my aunt took care of me. I had two nurturing women. So I love that. I just, but of course, yeah, I would go back to work, but I would have to have that support and know that my child is taken care of and not put in a swing and swinging back and forth somewhere by themselves and not being held. And you know what I mean? Yeah. It would have to be on that level. What are your thoughts, Kendra?
I agree with him. I would, thank you for putting that back up. If I had a healthy, positive marriage and, or partner, or, I would like to stay home. I would choose to stay home, with my child, especially at the beginning years. So I feel like, but my caveat would be is that would not be my full-time job, right? So I want to be home, but I would still be working, not necessarily for a company, but I would have to do something, like we said earlier, to get my creativity out.
Right.
So, ideally for me, I would be home. I would still be working on more life. I would still be helping people with their health and wellness, but I would cherish that flexibility that I would have to work from home. And then, as they get older, if I choose to, like, okay, I want to go out into the workforce, then I would want to do that. But for me, I would definitely love to have been home with David longer than what I was. And I was fortunate. I was home for, like, I think I had like the 3 months plus some.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women have to have their baby and literally go back to work like the next week. So, which is insane to me. But yeah, so I agree. Ideally, I would love to do that. Would have loved to do that, but still.
So I stayed at home, but I worked in schools where Caleb and Cass could come with me. So they were always by my side, whether I taught them or whether they were in a different class, but in the same building, that kind of thing. Like I used to help with it was a homeschooling program. And so Caleb was right by my side the entire time. It was for like a mega church, but I had him with me. And I still would work, but I had to have that thing, like, just to be in the house. And it got, I think he was probably maybe like 6 or 7 months of age. Yeah. That I did that. But so I still was technically like a stay-at-home mom, but I worked but my kids always had to come with me. So if I accepted a teaching position for a school once, I taught at a Montessori school, it was like, okay, well, I'll work, but you have to give me free tuition so my kids could come along with me. And then it offered me free time because they would babysit my children while I was off doing supermarket or something like, Right. And that's how it kind of works out. I think we have one more. Hey, Tamu, how are you?
Hey, Tamu. Tamu says, hello, ladies. And then we missed the young man's comment. That's a great point. Yes, that makes sense.
Yes.
Lamar, I'm loving your comments.
Yes.
It's a great conversation here on this topic.
He's brave.
So,
this is a wonderful conversation. I could go on and on and on, and it could go and web off into like so many different directions. So I think we should continue this another week, or maybe, go into some other topics that we had talked about. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, you can find us a Feel Good Talk on LinkedIn at Feel Good Talk, Facebook at Feel Good Talk, YouTube at FGT Mind, Body, Soul, and Business. And Instagram is at feel.goodtalk. We also have a website, which is www.feelgoodtalk.net. So be sure to tune in, like and share this page. I always say, if there's a message, it's not for you, you're not feeling it, that's fine. Just put it on your Facebook page anyway and share it, because this could help someone and encourage someone that might need to hear Temu says, I'm sorry I missed y'all conversation. Oh, we have replay. You can watch it.
You can replay it.
Yeah. Lamar Avery says, thank you, ladies. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, enjoyed having you as part of the show.
Temu, you go ahead and watch it on replay and put your comments in, and we'll respond to your comments still.
Absolutely. And you guys, to Izzy's point, this conversation can go off many different topics. So if you ever have topics that you want us to consider for discussion, then let us know. If you want to be a guest on and, participate on screen with the conversation with us, let us know. So
we would love to have you. We like these talks. It's just like, having a conversation with family and friends. It's good to get all these thoughts and feelings off of our chests and out just to talk about things. Yeah.
And share and learn from each other too.
Yes.
Right? So that's the true thing. Share and learn.
I'm ready to make my heart.
All right, you guys.
Look at it. I got it. Oh my gosh.
Love you guys. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a great week.